Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Yeah. You gotta work. You gotta work. Grind, shine, it's mine. Gotta show everybody it's my time. Getting here, you gotta work. Grind, shine, never mind who talking down, cause they lie.
Welcome to Let's Talk with Carl Lee. Join Carl alongside frequent co-hosts Lisa Odie and Hollis Lewis as they explore dynamic conversations with guests from all walks of life. Let's Talk is proudly brought to you by attorney Frank Walker. Real talk, real experience, real results. Visit frankwalkerlaw.com. The conversation starts now. This is Let's Talk.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carl Lee with Let's Talk, and I have both of my co-hosts in the building today, Lisa Odie and Hollis Lewis. And
what's going on?
And I believe Hollis is going to introduce us to somebody. So we're going to start right out with the guest today.
Yeah. So we have a sports agent and a Southern University Law Center grad, one of my fellow classmates, Paul DeRuzel. Now, did I pronounce your name right, my brother?
I mean, you almost were there.
I knew I was going to mess it up.
We made sure he did it because we didn't want to mess it up.
He's the fall guy.
How you spend all that time in Louisiana and can't say my last name right?
Hey, man. I still, I was a sub teacher when I was in law school. And it just got to a point where I just passed the paper. Go ahead and just sign that. I ain't even going to try with these names.
It's all good. It just depends, right? It's Daracel, but I say DeRuzel if I really want to sound sophisticated.
I got you.
I feel like my credit score go up.
Love it.
What's up. Now, we're just going back a little bit. Like I said, we went to law school together. You were a Division I athlete, a tennis player. And ever since, when I came in, you wanted to be, I know you always talked about sports and sports age and different things of that nature. And now we're here. You represent a pretty nice client list. So how was that transition going from being an attorney to now being a certified sports agent?
I say that being an attorney kind of prepared me for it. Doing billable hours, kind of like the movie Karate Kid. The wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
Doc review, attention to detail, client relations, kind of all of the things working at a law firm entailed. A lot of that skill set translated. And just to be honest, I feel like it gives you a certain level of credibility when you walk into a room. People know that they're ESQ, that there's some education behind you too, that you're not, a street agent, as they like to call a lot of the people. So I think it helped in a lot of ways, from sitting through multiple mediations, understanding negotiation tactics, and just honestly just sitting in a lot of those rooms just prepares you, makes you realize there's no stage too big, man. You're never intimidated by anybody.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this is Carl, man. How you doing? So
what's up?
Every agent that I had was actually a.
Well, you got to tell them you NFL.
Well, I'm a former NFL guy. I played for the Vikings. I played from '83 to '94. I finished my career with the New Orleans Saints. And
yes,
So fortunately for me, I had a couple buddies who played, and they had a guy that was an agent, and he was an attorney. Mm-hmm. And I knew some other guys who had jumped in with some other guys who were just
the street agent.
They were the street agent, And I don't want to necessarily say that was a bad deal, but one of the things that I felt that when you have an agent that's actually an attorney, when you get into the room on the negotiating piece of it and all of the other personal life lessons and things like that, having a guy that's an attorney is a huge benefit. That guy who's just going to go in and try to get you $1 million on your contract, there's a whole lot more to that. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, I think Well, first, I think that just being an attorney, just to a certain degree, man, is just like you said. You're versatile. You can do a lot of things more than just be an agent. And sometimes you can help advise on business deals or review certain, with this Nike contract. Keon and I just got that. I was able to point out certain inconsistencies. I just think your eye is trained for it. But I don't want to say that it's a lot of great agents that aren't attorneys too. So I want to be clear on that.
Right.
So some of that is just based on who you are. Just like it's terrible agents that aren't attorneys. So for me, being an attorney helped because it trained my eye to certain things. But I do think, there's people who got MBAs, right, and finance backgrounds and other things that kind of translate and make them serviceable and great agents as well.
Yeah. Hey, Paul, this is Lisa. Thanks for coming on the podcast tonight.
Sure.
Hey, so I'm going to go outside of what we're talking about right now and just kind of talk about, in general, a question about conflict. I'm sure as a sports agent, you run into that, probably on a daily basis, if not weekly. So how do you handle, like, when you have a conflict or a disagreement between clients and teams? What's your strategies to kind of handle that?
The first thing is, I understand that is the nature of the business. I think a lot of times conflicts escalate because people allow things, to get personal.
Right.
I think one of the things I understand is that I'm a big picture thinker, right? So if there's a conflict between a team and a player, I understand that these teams are run by billionaires, right? Most of which who have business backgrounds. So I understand that a lot of times, while you do look at players as people, sometimes they're viewed as commodities and it's business. So I understand going into it, any conflict, that I try to look at it through the other person's lens while also advocating for my client and doing what's in my client's best interest at all times. So I think I just try to navigate that through clear conversation. Like, for example, you might have a player with an injury settlement, for example.
Sure.
That's probably one of the more common conflicts is injury settlement, workers' comp type stuff. And they might believe it to be a 5-week injury, so they'll pay you this amount times the length of the injury they believe it to be. Whereas you go get a second opinion and do all these type of things. I just think the better you do at having a paper trail and making an intelligent argument as opposed to an emotional one that's couched in fact and that can be proven as best as you can, you got a shot in all these conflicts. And also, you just want to be a professional throughout it.
Thank you.
That's perfect. So let me ask you this. Like, a lot of times when we, a layman person who doesn't really, know the business / sports world, when they think of agents, they think of like agents being involved in every aspect of a player's life and kind of, riding with that person through whatever, personal and or business. So what is kind of like a day to day, or is it mostly just negotiating contracts, or are you kind of involved in sort of like an advisor role to, life in general?
I first want to say that it's kind of like, any of y'all got kids?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm going somewhere with this. I think that there's no, like, you might have one kid, like my sister calls my mama every day. Whereas I tend to only call my mama if I need something. So it's kind of like with athletes, it just depends on where they are in their career as to what your role will be. I got 4 guys in the draft right now. So I'm talking to them a lot more, right?
Yeah.
Helping navigate through visits, evaluating rosters, should they fall out of day 3 of that draft. Whereas with Keon, our conversations are a little different because, he's just training right now, getting ready to go to OTAs and stuff. So no day is the same. If you're in contract negotiation season where you got a guy that's getting ready to go into free agency, those conversations look different. If you got a rookie or a veteran like a Jeffrey Simmons, he ain't got nothing to do for the next 3 years for real. So you're just showing up to his events, supporting him, just being there, pulling up the games, maybe just flying out to Nashville, grabbing dinner. All of your players are going to have a different personality. Yeah. And I think some agents go wrong because you can't be the same person for everybody. Yeah. For example, Keon Coleman calls me 10 times a day. He's like my oldest son. Yeah.
Receiver for Buffalo.
Whereas Marcus Banks in Tampa, he's my frat brother. He's 24 years old. He's a little bit further along. He gonna call me and he might talk about the tariffs that are going on. So I think part of being a great agent is just understanding what role you have to play in that player's life and asking them what are the expectations of you and what did they need from you. You know what I mean? Some players want you to come to as many games as you can. Other guys like, nah, man, just pull up on me on my off day, which is Tuesday. Let's go fish.
Yeah. And I'm looking at this number for Jeffrey Simmons. He good for a little while. So yeah, I looked at that number. I said, okay, yeah, he all right.
and you know, and what's interesting to me about listening to you, you know, and I'm sitting here as you're talking about the relationship, and I'm thinking to myself about the relationship that I have with the guy who I worked with, like at any part in time, anything that happens in my life today, like I'm likely to call him and have a conversation with him and say, hey, I'm trying to do this. Like it really does become almost, I want to say like a father figure.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Almost, even though it's not, you know, the age is not much different, but the things that I'm needing, I know that he's going to have the answers or he's going to go find them. You know, he's going to come back and call me and say, hey, look, yeah, I think what we need to do is we need to do it this way, that way, da-da-da-da. And I think that the average person doesn't have that luxury, I don't think. Yeah. And I think, you know, when you think about it, like people like you, man, I don't know if you really understand like how relative and how important that is to guys like me, you know, because we need that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of, you know, I don't want to turn off any of your viewers here, but I think a lot of that is just for me, you get into this business. If you're a Christian before you're an agent, which I am, it's about service.
Right,
it's about loving. It's about care. So if the main thing and your main purpose in life is for God to give you this opportunity and he gives you this platform, you want to help people. You know, people get caught up in this agent stuff and they think about, oh, I saw you on the sideline. You did a $100 million deal. Keon Coleman, Jeffrey Simmons. At its core, I'm helping a young man navigate. No different than a school teacher, right? No different than so. It's so many of those things are already in you. As an agent, I have the title of an agent. You know, you're an advisor, you're a friend, you're a confidant. You know where a lot of the bodies are buried. You know, literally. But I think you have to want that. I think to whom much is given, much is required. So, like you said about your agent, I enjoy being counted on. I enjoy being dependent on. I enjoy. You know, I was that kid, loved giving the answers to the test to other people. You know, my homeboys, a lot of them passed because of me. I enjoyed it.
Right.
So for you to revere your agent so much, that means they're doing something right. And I think that's all you want. You want to be that. But now on the other side of that, I think I do a really good job of trying to empower those guys. For example, my rookies, I don't call back the team and set up their Zooms. I said, no, man, you're a grown man. I can tell you what to say, but I want these teams to understand that you can handle some of your own business. Because I won't be there with you in the meetings. You know, there's a fine line between guidance and hindering and handicapping.
Yeah.
And I think you got to find that, right? Because you're still your own business. Your players, you want them to keep you around because obviously you add value, but you don't want to become too much of a crutch to where they don't grow. And that's the hard part, right? And, you know, I don't know, y'all from Louisiana. We eat boiled crawfish here, right?
Yeah.
You know,
I can't wait to get some more of
that. I had to learn to peel my own crawfish at some point.
Well, let me ask this question, because as you were talking, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about like different situations. And we had a really difficult general manager. His name was Mike Lynn. He's passed away. And, you know,
call him out, coach. You just going to call him out?
I was just going to say, like, I mean, he was for sure, without any question, he was a racial type of dude.
Naming names. Hollis. Naming names.
And one of the
respected though.
Yeah, right. I don't really have a good filter, so one of the things he would tell you, like if you didn't take his offer, like, so he throws an offer right out there, and nobody takes the first offer. You know that nobody takes the first offer. So he would tell you, if you don't like my offer, go drive a bus.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and again, I'm coming through, 83, 84, 85. Bro, you can't say that. You can't say that to me. Why do I got to go drive a bus if I don't play ball? What's
right.
And I try to look at this now. If I don't have an agent in that room at some point in time, I don't know if that works out for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And have you? So I'm wondering if you've been in that kind of a situation where there's that guy. And I'm not saying I'm that guy, but you have that guy that you have to kind of sit in to have that conversation, because that general manager might say something off the cuff, and or maybe they don't say it like that now.
I don't think they say it. It's a different time. But to your point, there's definitely still some of those undertones, overtones, or whatever you want, because like I said, sometimes they view the athletes as commodities that they can just replace. Just go out.
Yep.
So there is a little bit of that, right? Not wanting people to get their worth. I mean, they're trying to save the owner as much money as possible. That's really what they're trying to do. If we think about it, they're trying to get the cheapest labor, get the most out of you, and pay you the minimal amount until they absolutely have to pay you. So I think the role of the agent, as I said earlier, is to stay calm and make the player understand that it's not personal, but it's so hard not to feel personal. I'm not the one getting hit.
Right.
Good point.
I get out the bed just perfect. I can still dunk a basketball. so it's being able to empathize and also try to make them understand, like, this is a 78-year-old owner from West Texas, bro. He don't, that's a lot of it is how you were raised.
Yeah. So I'm looking at your client list, and you mentioned some of the names: Jeffrey Simmons from Tennessee, Keon Coleman, Buffalo, Terrell Shavers, Buffalo, Marcus Banks, Tampa Bay. And what I'm impressed by, like, I remember when, watching you online, you was trying to break and get in the game, and now we're here, and you mentioned you got 4 other rookies. So what's the process now for acquiring clients? Is it you soliciting, or you getting solicited from players and their families?
It's a combination, right? I think, I can speak to, like, for example, my last year's draft class. You got Carlin Vickers from Eunice, Louisiana. He's from where I'm from.
Yeah.
Aiden Huntington was a teammate of Carlin. So a lot of the stuff, man.
Yeah.
Some people, I didn't realize how connected I was to people. And sometimes when you do a really good job and you have a social media presence and people see that the acumen is there, they get a little intrigued.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like anybody, if I get a fair chance in any room, I feel like I'm as good as anybody. So a lot of my clients come from referral. A lot of it comes geographically, being from Southwest Louisiana. Kind of these kids grow up knowing who I am now because I've been blessed. When you got a superstar like Keon Coleman, let's just call it.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
he is too.
Let's just be honest. All your clients matter, but the kids from where we from the same place.
Yeah.
So they, that's built in. And one thing about Keon, he's gonna say my name in rooms that I'm not in.
Yeah, he's nice. He's a humble kid too. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
Man.
He's gonna say my name anywhere. So you wanna do that level. You wanna solicit, but the best solicitation is doing good work.
Yes.
Hey, Paul, it's Lisa again. I know Hollis just he kind of named some of your more prominent clients that you are representing here in the present. But how many contracts do you think you've negotiated over the years total? Like, what do you see
between
as
my legal career and everything?
Yes.
Well, hundreds.
Wow.
Because I did a lot of mediations when I was an up and coming attorney at a big firm.
Okay.
So I've done a lot of negotiation. Like on paper, maybe I've negotiated 9, maybe 10, 15 NFL contracts.
Sure.
But like I said, my first time at the big boy table for real, we got 104 M.
Did you get to say? Did you get to say, "Show me the money"?
You know what's crazy about that deal was that news came out of it on Good Friday in Louisiana.
Yes.
It was one of the best days of my life, man.
Wow.
to see the look on your client's face. Man, come on, man.
I remember that.
Awesome.
I watched
Like,
that.
bro.
So like now, kind of where can people find you at? Where can they, what's your social media? Where can people keep up with you?
Well, the cool thing, man, they can always find me at the Agent Paul on Instagram. I'm still independent right now. As you know, Hollis, all these big agencies calling me.
Yeah.
But, I'm cool right now. I'm in a good space. I know that day will come, but I'm going to just keep stacking up and having quality players. And if we move as a unit, one band, one sound.
Now, is there any thoughts of maybe like expanding, going to different sports, or you just kind of locked in with the NFL right now?
Oh, no. I'd love to do basketball. I'd love to represent coaches down the road. I want to keep growing, but I want to grow at the correct pace. I think the biggest mistake you can make is to allow other people to dictate how you move. Like, think about it. In basketball, what they say, a great point guard, you can't speed them up. They play at their own speed. Like, there's nothing you can do to make them rush, make them take a bet, and that's where I'm at right now. I kind of just take my time. Just because you should, just because you could doesn't mean you should.
Yes.
Exactly. I love that.
I'm going to just keep building, man, day by day, and doing right by the players that I do have, and keep stacking, man. That's really all I can do.
Hey, man, just from somebody who's been in that situation and have watched different people, good, bad, and indifferent, just hearing you and hearing the passion in which you have, bro, I can appreciate who you are, what you're doing, and I'm sure that the guys that you are representing will all do well because of who you are. And bro, I'm telling you now, don't change. Be that dude, because that'll work for you. Because players like that kind of person, that true person that you can really deal with.
Yeah.
I mean, you blessed, right? The way I look at it, man, it's a blessing. I know what it's like to have no clients.
Right.
And I remember them nights, just crying, knowing I was good as everybody. But I realized, you got to go through a process to make.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
You appreciate it. So I'm just as appreciative of a 6th-round pick as I am a 1st-round pick.
Heck yeah.
Or
There you go.
a 3rd-round pick.
Right.
You gotta love them all the same, and you might have to love them differently because every player got a different love language.
Yeah.
But you love them all the same. You treat your top of the roster guys same way you treat the guy fighting for a 53 spot.
Hey, well, I'm looking for an agent for my 45U team. So maybe you can come.
Hey, man, I'm an agent, not a miracle.
Man,
AARP. I'm not an AARP.
Hey, man, I really appreciate you, man. It's been excellent. Thank you,
appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much.
I got a question, though, for my man who played for the Vikings, though.
Yes, sir.
Carl Lee.
What years you played, bro?
I came in 83. I was a 7th-round pick, and my career went from 83 to 94. I ended up with
11 years?
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
He played 1 year at the Saints.
1 year with the Saints. I played 1 year with the Saints.
But you know what's crazy? You went 7th round back in the day when they used to have like 12 rounds. So technically you were kind of like a 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
Man, don't tell this man that. Please don't.
I'm just saying.
Please don't tell him that.
Brother,
It's hard enough.
It really
is.
It really to me when I at that pick, I didn't know where it was, what it was, but there was a whole lot. It was still a challenge because again, I'm trying to play a corner position that I really hadn't played. I was a safety, but it was the challenge of seeing all the different people, and I had a buddy from LSU, Willie Teal, who's down in Baton Rouge. He kind of really took me under the wing and kind of got me going and helped me a whole bunch, man. And I can give him a little props too, just because of having somebody that played that position, who was a buddy of mine. We always lived in the same apartment complex. So I got to get my hats off to him as well.
Hey, so you couldn't. So you played safety. You couldn't turn them hips, man. Well, why they had you at safety and not corner?
Well, I played safety. I played safety in college at Marshall, and I have to. I'm gonna pat myself on the back, bro, because I was a hitter.
What?
I was a hitter.
Pat himself on the back.
I was physical. You know, I was physical, and so I was more of a safety type. But then I get my opportunity to play corner with Pete Carroll. He comes in and puts us through the whole bump and run thing, man. And then my career just jumped off, man. I just, yeah. So I played with Pete Carroll. Yes. So,
man, Pete was turned up back then too.
Man, I'm telling you, bro. He turned our defense. Or I'll say that for sure the secondary, but we had a defensive coordinator, brother, that was just blitz. So, bro, we playing man to man almost every down. And bro, that's Jerry Rice era. That's all them dudes there.
Look, I know, Roger Craig, that you played. Look, she trying to rush us off the floor. I love ball so much, though. My last question, hold on.
Okay.
You can stay, bro.
Bro, yeah, you good. We ain't in no rush. Yeah. We ain't got nothing. We gonna talk about stuff.
He's interviewing Carl now. I love it. Tables have turned. The tables have turned.
Next thing, I'm doing media when I get done with.
There you go.
When I retire. But so, were you with the Vikings through what years?
83 to 93.
All right, so picture this. You know how, like, you have certain core memories as a child that you cannot forget?
Yes.
All right, so Christmas 1989. Okay? I'm going to take you somewhere.
Okay.
I was young, bro. I was like maybe 3. I'm telling my age. I was young. And Monday Night Football was on, and the Vikings were playing on Christmas night, on a Monday night. And I don't know why I remember this, but I cannot forget it. Do you remember that?
No, I don't. I'm sure that we played on one of those days.
No, you played on Christmas.
On Christmas. I get it. Christmas, Thanksgiving, all that. I don't like. We played a bunch of games on different times. I don't really like. I can't pull out a game or a situation where I could say that I actually played. Unfortunately, I don't have that memory, and you can blame that on the contact.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to get
no, trust me, brother. You all good. You good.
You played on that hard concrete.
Yes, sir.
Lord.
Yeah, that old turf. That old turf.
And I know, like, everybody I ever talked to from your era, like the OGs, they like, man, these receivers just get to run across the middle and gallivant. They like, man, I'd have knocked that boy head off.
and I say that here, like, all the time. Like, there's just simply no way that a receiver in the league now is going to catch a slant. And, bro, I'm not going to go across his head.
You say that a lot.
You know, yeah.
You say that a lot.
There's just no way.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, now that's going to be 15. But back then, that was going to be fear for the receiver. Yeah. You know, we was, back in those days, bro, like you talking like putting fear in somebody's mind so that they don't do this again. That was the whole thought process of defense. You start talking about somebody like
bread and butter of defense.
Yeah. You talk about like somebody like LT, bro. Like, he ain't trying to just hit you and bring you down.
Intimidate.
He's trying to intimidate you to a point you don't ever come back that way. and I think that's the difference in where the game is going.
No, for sure.
And I can't, and I don't mean that in a bad way, because safety is important and all that kind of stuff. But if someone asked me if I would go back and do it again, knowing that my memory is horrible, I would say absolutely. I would do it without a question. I'd stand with my hand up and say I want to be first in line.
Hey man, I respect it, but love of the game, man.
Yes, sir.
That's what's missing, man. I'm young. I'm younger than you, but like I got an old soul, man. Like,
I'm with you. And I appreciate the money, and I'd had loved to have made that money. But if you love the money and you can't love the game with the intensity of wanting to be something, want somebody to call your name out, bro, you're missing it.
That's what we're going to talk about here.
Yeah, we
You're
sure
missing
are.
it.
We sure are.
You're missing it, man.
I'm knowing you gotta love these stuff. You almost made me curse, bro.
And that's one thing I can say about Paul. Ever since I known him, he was in law school, he always had a really love for sports.
Yeah.
Anything sports related, always talking about it, doing it. We're playing flag football, just talking about it in the law center. It's always a
flag
love.
Football. Hey, I'm gonna tell you something now. Good. I hope Marcus DeLore is listening to this. He gonna listen. I'm gonna say this. I was unguardable, bro. I was, like 6'2.5", not a real burner, but a real rock star. They described me like a white guy. I was happy. First guy in the film room type guy. Really hanging his head on.
Hey, Paul needs to be a stand-up comedian. Forget the media stuff. You just go straight on the stage.
That's on my bucket list.
It should be.
So, bro, you 6'2"?
Yeah.
You 6'2"?
I told you, Division I tennis player.
Division I?
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
6'2.25". 6'2.25".
I know how important them quarters are.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, if you were to play football, what? So, are you saying that you'd be a receiver? Is that what you're saying?
I mean,
wait a minute now. You should be quick with that answer.
No. I gotta provide context.
Okay.
Tell my players. Provide context.
Okay. I'm waiting on it.
I would really want to be like the Udonis Haslam of the NFL. Like, don't play, just get to walk around and be an advisor. I could be the chaplain. Look, I can pray on certain things.
Oh, I think you play that part well. Gosh.
Oh, so you want to be on the side then?
Yeah, I just want to put on a uniform.
On the uniform.
Yeah.
Run out, kiss my family before the game. When the family could be on the sideline, run some routes. Want my jersey to be whiter than the state of Idaho. But I think receiver, though. I think receiver, man.
Okay.
Wow.
Because what other position, I can't play DB. I don't want to get cooked. Like, as a receiver, I can at least go out there and block or do something, like pretend to be busy on the outside.
Why you got to say the DB got to get beat deep? That ain't what we all do.
Being a DB, bro, is the hardest position in football.
100%. I say that all the time. It's the most athletic position being a cornerback. You have to be the best athlete maybe in sports.
Now, bro, let me just give you some context to that statement that he made. If you wasn't on the phone, we wasn't having this conversation. He would have never.
No, I always say that.
He would have never gave me that. I'm just letting you know.
I always say that. I always say that.
What was your what you ran in the 40 and all that?
See, now this is gonna be a little bit of an issue here. All right, so.
You ran a forever?
I was no, bro. Before that, okay. Here's the thing: I ran 4.4. I ran 4.4 at the combine. My second year in the league, I ran a 4.28 and a 4.35 back to back.
Hold on.
Okay. I'm just telling you.
You said a 4.38?
No.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void were prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
4.2, 4.28, and 4.35 back to back.
Coach.
That's what I'm saying.
4.2. Come on, coach.
Listen, Les Steckel took over the team. Les Steckel took over the team, and he made us do this crazy running program. So, Brad, he called me and said, "Look, you need to come up to Minnesota and work out because camp's going to be hard." Blah 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 blah. I said, "No, if that's all it's going to be, I'll take care of that here at home." And so he had this deal where we had to run the 40s, do the shuttles, kind of almost like the combine. So I was the fastest dude on our team. That particular year, I was Darren Nelson from Stanford was, everybody thought he would be the fastest. My time was the fastest time.
This is the first time I'm hearing about that 4.2.
Well, when am I supposed to brag about that?
I done heard the 4.4 before. I heard the 4.4
because I can give a 4.40.
Don't take his glory away, Hollis. Come on now. Come on.
I ain't gonna let him take it.
Let the man have his moment. Let the man have his moment.
It feel like that Wilt Chamberlain 100-point game. I heard about it.
Unofficial.
I didn't know, like the
Lord.
I love it.
I was like, Hollis,
Yes,
the
sir.
lawyer, and as he just mentioned all this about the lawyer's like, okay, did you run it outside? Was it
Grass, turf.
We were outside. We were outside. We were on
What the
turf.
women talking about?
We was on the turf, and it was and the coaches were the timers. They timed the 20 and the 40. I don't remember what the 20 was because it didn't really matter because the 40 was good.
Yeah.
So I didn't worry about it.
But I'll say this: if you go back and watch some of the highlights of Coach Carl Lee, you had some wheels. So I mean, I could believe it. I'm messing with you, but yeah, you was doing your thing out there for sure.
Well, that's the first. Right. We might need to keep you on the show every week. that's the only prop he's ever given me.
Come on, man. He telling lies now. Don't be lying in front of company.
Now, boys.
You know how y'all DBs are, though, bro. You know how y'all DBs are.
How are we? What are we? What are like?
Irrationally confident.
That's a fact. Now that's a fact.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I like it.
I'll give you that.
I'd also say y'all kind of delusional too, right?
100%.
You can overthrow it. It'd be a bad throw, and the DB acting like he did something.
See, that's new school. That ain't old school. If we old school, we only take credit for what we do.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you this: you a DB. What was your pregame swag? Like your wristband had to be a certain way. Y'all very.
I want to hear this.
Okay, so I was a spatter. So I would spat my shoes, my cleats. I'd spat them up,
boy,
and I taped my wrist. And I had you had the towel. You had to put the towel right. The towel had to be right on the side on the hip. You had
the glove. You did the gloves.
I had the gloves too.
You did the gloves.
Mm-hmm. But see,
you did the elbow bands.
I did elbow bands
elbow
too.
pads. Yeah.
But see, I had 2 years with Bud Grant, and Bud Grant, he was strict on how you look. Like, we need to look like a team. So he kind of tapered some of that. Then in my second year, when we had Les Steckel, he kind of tried to step in and do that same kind of thing. But after that, it was kind of like wide open. We could do kind of really whatever you wanted. You could spat it up and then, spat your cleats up and draw something on it if you wanted, whatever. Put your number on it, whatever, so.
What Orlando Thomas used to dress?
I didn't play with him.
Okay, you left, right?
Yeah, I was gone before he got there, yeah. Yeah, but I'm telling you, the dress code is important for you. You don't come out on the field until you're ready. Now, and here's what people don't know. So, like the warm up, when you come out, like prior to the game, before the whole team comes out, you got your own look. You got your look to come out there. You got that look first, and then when it's the whole team or special teams are coming out, you got that look. Then when you're coming out final for the game, you got the whole complete look. That's just how it was.
All right, so let me ask you a question, Paul, while we got you here. What far as the draft, just so we can talk about that, what's your feelings on them top maybe 2 or 3 picks? Or can you say that? I don't know if you can go there.
Nah, I go there, man.
Okay.
I ain't got no dog in the fight this year. So, I feel like Cam Ward is going to go to the Titans.
Okay.
For sure. I think, too, the Browns need to do something, right? I think they're going to go get Travis Hunter. Mm-hmm. They want to energize their fan base, exciting player. They're going to find creative ways to use him on both sides. At 3, I can see that's the Giants.
Yeah,
I believe the Shador thing is a smoke screen.
Yeah.
I believe they go Abdul Carter.
Okay.
For the Patriots, I could see the Patriots going and get a lineman, probably Will Campbell, or maybe the kid from Missouri, whoever they have higher. But, I think all of those guys can really play, man. So it's just like, this year's first round is going to be more defense. If you look at last year, it was mostly offense. So sometimes it alternates. This year, defense is going to be at the forefront. You might see 20, 23 guys on defense get drafted.
Yeah. Now, just as far as the Browns pick is concerned, I'm a big Travis Hunter fan. I thought he was phenomenal. So, but to that pick and to a franchise like that is rebuilding, do you take the player like Travis Hunter, or do you take like more of a foundational player like that good offensive or defensive lineman? Or do you think, or is he just the best player available in that slot?
I think he's the best available player in that slot. Also, I think when you're picking at the top of 2, which you are, you're going to get a de facto first rounder. So you can get creative there, maybe trade into the first round if you want to go get a quarterback, because you got a top 2, right? You see, I talk like a GM sometimes. You got a top of 2 pick, which is really a first round pick. You're going to have somebody with a first round grade go there, so you can go get a D lineman there, top O lineman that's going to be a starter. I'm not in the business of passing on once in a generation type players.
Yeah.
And I think you can overthink it. I don't think they said, I think you run that card up, you draft Travis Hunter, and you ball. You look, you go ball. If you put him on defense, you already got Ward on the other side.
Yeah, right, 100%.
Your receiver room is kind of Jerry Jeudy pretty much, and no notable guys other than that. You give them 20, 25 players in a package, find manufactured touches for him, screens, getting them the ball in space, and sometimes just the threat of him out there. Send him out on a vertical, get the tight ends open. So I think you go do that, man, and you know you're going to be picking right back next year anyway.
Yeah. That's a fact. That's a legitimate fact.
Quarterback class next year, so or if you feeling it like you really are, you make a trade at 7 with somebody and come get Shedeur. You trade next year's 1 for Shedeur.
That wouldn't be bad.
You reunite Shedeur and Travis. If you that
that'd be exciting.
Why not? Right? Who's at 7? The Jets. You just got to get up to 8 ahead of New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
So you make a trade with Carolina.
That's interesting.
You probably got to give up a 2. You probably got to give up some stuff. But I mean, if you believe in Shedeur that much, that means you're banking on the fact that he's better than next year's quarterback class anyway. So,
yeah, I like Shedeur as a quarterback. I mean, I've never seen a young quarterback deliver the ball with such accuracy, particularly under pressure. The only thing I worry about when you look at the modern quarterbacks, the Jalen Hurts, the Lamar Jacksons, they got them wheels, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do what needs to be done in a modern sense of football, as far as that is concerned.
Here's my thing, though. Matt Stafford isn't a crazy athlete. If you're an elite processor,
okay.
I think if you're an elite processor and you get the ball out quick, you go through your progressions and your reads, which I think he does. He has he took a lot of sacks to Colorado. A lot of that was O-line related.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a believer, man. I'm a believer in Shedeur.
Yeah.
And I don't, the whole him being super fast thing. You got, they got a lot of quarterbacks that ain't burners. I feel like you just got to be fast enough to be evasive.
There you go.
As long as they're not Mr. Irrelevant, right?
What, 6'2", 56?
Exactly. I had to throw it in there. Yes.
Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah.
My brother, I tell you what, we appreciate your time. We thought we was going to be here like maybe 10, 15, but we appreciate it. We got to have you back.
For sure.
I enjoy talking to y'all.
All right, man, we'll get back to you.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Yep. So I don't know if I want to give Hollis any credit for that.
Hey, give me all of it, man.
I don't know if I want to give him any credit, Lisa.
He's awesome.
But that's a conversation there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and the fact that
Let's
he
face
actually
it, bad
himself
things happen
even
to
came
good
out
people.
with his own
Seriously
questions.
injured in a car accident, trucking accident,
He's
or
perfect
even
for future
wrongfully
media.
arrested.
Oh,
Life happens.
absolutely.
When it happens to you will
He's got
need
a
sound
future.
legal advice and
so
aggressive
I know
representation. That's when you
wanted
call
to
attorney
talk, we ain't
Frank
got that
Walker
much
at
time left.
304-413-0179. That's
We could talk about Nico. I think that's pretty important to know.
Lock it in your phone,
Let's do
text
that.
it to a
So,
friend.
Lisa, talk to us a little bit about the story.
304-413-0179.
Okay,
Or visit
so
online
we all
at
know Nico and
attorneyfrankwalker.com.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Let's Talk with Carl Lee is proudly presented by attorney Frank Walker. Visit frankwalkerlaw.com. Share your thoughts, ask questions, or suggest topics on our Facebook page. Just search for Let's Talk with Carl Lee. And don't forget to like the page to join the conversation. Catch past episodes anytime at WCHSnetwork.com/Let's Talk. And tune in Thursday nights at 7 or Sunday evenings at 8 for Let's Talk with Carl Lee. Now, back to the conversation.
So, I don't know if I want to give Hollis any credit for that.
Hey, give me all of it, man.
I don't know if I want to give him any credit, Lisa.
He's awesome.
But that's a conversation there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, definitely. You know, and the fact that he actually himself even came out with his own questions, you know, I thought
perfect
that was
for
good.
future media.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah. He's got a future.
Yeah. So I know we wanted to talk, but we ain't got that much time left. So where we want to go
Time
now?
flies.
Well,
we could talk about Nico. I think that's pretty important, don't you?
Yeah, okay.
Let's do that.
So, Lisa, talk to us a little bit about the story.
Okay, so we all know Nico, and I hope I say his last name right. Iamaleava. Did I say it right?
You close.
Okay,
Yeah, it's close enough.
Okay,
I would have been further away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Close enough.
So he was the quarterback at Tennessee, a starter, and he was being paid by the school and the alumni NIL funds, and he was making basically about. At one point, he was making about $2 million total, I guess, with endorsements and everything. And then he decided this off season right now, that he wanted that increase to $4 million.
Yeah.
And so the volunteer fan base, the coaches, the administration did not take well to that. Actually, the head coach, Coach Heupel, even said, which is something that kind of stuck with me, and I'm hoping that a lot of the coaches at big schools around the nation also kind of take it to heart, that no one is bigger than the program.
Yeah, and
that's a fact.
Basically, they let him go.
And he attempted to hold out by saying he missed practice. He wasn't going to do in the spring game.
Yes.
So basically, it was a holdout for lack of a
It was a
better word.
holdout for sure.
It was definitely a holdout, and saying I'm not going to do anything until y'all pay me.
Yeah, pay
Right.
me more.
Yeah, pay me more. Yes.
Yeah.
Which I think that the whole setup of his NIL deal, he would have at one point, if he would have stayed with the program, went through the complete 4 years that he had signed up for with the incentives that were in there with wins and his successes, it would have increased to more than that. But he wasn't willing to stick it out.
Yeah.
So.
And again, this is one of those things where I'm a little conflicted on this, because we've seen coaches do this, right? We've seen coaches lead programs that they were vested in, that they had success in for more money. We essentially hold out or try to stick the team up for more money. I just think, again, when I look at this is an NCAA problem. This is an NCAA issue, and they should have fixed it when they had the opportunity, but now it's the Wild Wild West. You know what I mean?
I agree with the whole Wild Wild West issue, and what bothers me is because, again, and in this past conversation we talked about teamwork.
Yeah,
and it is about team,
right?
And it's gotten to a point. What NIL has created is individualized situations in the sport,
right?
Because Hollis gets X, and I think I'm better than Hollis. I got to go in and I got to get X plus.
And I think that was the case.
Yes,
with Nico.
Well, he was a quarterback, and I think his name is Becker in Miami. He's getting $4 million. So I think that's where Nico the kid got that number from.
And then and the fact that you can walk. Now, let's be honest. Let's just be honest. We're talking collegiate sports.
Yeah,
right.
Top level collegiate sports. You are walking away from, let's just say, $3 million, right? Because you want $4 over your time, for this year, for that year, da 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 da.
Right.
Are you kidding me? To play collegiate football, you have the audacity to walk away from $4 million.
Yeah.
But it's hard. But my thing, it's hard to argue. I seen a report yesterday where the SEC is a conference made like $800 million or some like close to several billion dollars as a conference. It's hard to argue. It's hard for me to say, well, he's wrong for doing that when you seeing all this money on the table across the board.
I believe that collegiate sports are making tons of money. I also believe like the NFL makes tons of money. Okay.
Yeah.
But does that mean that a collegiate player should make that kind of money?
Again, I don't. But again, they weren't asking for this. The players were not asking. They was asking for a piece of the pie, and because the NCAA failed to act, this is the result. And again, I'm not saying it's got to get tightened up. I don't think we can stay here. We can't live here.
No,
right?
we cannot live here. And this is something interesting. And we've all talked about the transfer portal a lot on this podcast.
For sure.
But this is a different angle that I'm going to present to you guys that I wasn't aware of. Maybe you guys were. But in this specific instance, when Nico entered the transfer portal, he entered with a tag of do not contact. Okay. I know,
no,
right?
I didn't know that either.
There's a dude. Whenever you enter the portal, there's a possibility. If you want to, you can enter with a tag that says "Do not contact," which means one of two things. One of them is that he already knows where he's going. He's already got a deal in place, or his representatives will contact your school to let you know you're interested. So it's one of two things. Either he already knew he was going, and we found out this evening he's going to UCLA. Correct? Is that what we heard?
I don't think official. I don't think those deals are official
okay.
yet.
Done.
Okay. Well, the possibility he's going there. So here's the one of two things. When he went into that portal, he either knew that UCLA wanted him, and maybe that's why he did the things he did with Tennessee to get out of that, or he's in his mind, he is that he's able to pick where he wants to go and have his people contact their people.
Yeah, that's like a franchise tag or something like that, right?
But my question.
I didn't know that though. Did you guys know that?
I had no idea. No idea.
Okay.
No idea of that.
I'm trying to figure out. Like, okay, I'm a college athlete, and I'm getting ready to say how much money I want for NIL.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like.
So my question, the question that comes to me in that, okay, so I got to look at Hollis and see what he's making. I got to look at Lisa, see what she's making. You know what I'm saying? Like, am I researching players to see where I fit?
It's agents.
You're definitely doing that. Mm-hmm. Somebody's doing it for you.
I have to assume somebody's doing it.
Yeah.
Now the question becomes to me, which is again a pro issue. Like, so I say, so you're making $4 million. So I'm thinking now, oh, well, shoot, if Hollis is making $4 million, then I need to make 4.5 or 5.
Yeah.
How am I processing my skill set versus you? Is it stats? Are we going by stats? Or are we just thinking that we got skill set?
I think it's the same thing you would process in a pro sense. You're looking at your success versus that guy's success. Mm-hmm. That guy's versus your stats. You're looking at all those things. I mean, he did take Tennessee to the playoffs. Yes. He was a good quarterback, not a great quarterback.
Okay, I was going to say, you said he took him to the playoffs, but what?
Did he lost?
But they were there. They were part of the conversation.
But if you're a quarterback that's coming back, and I'm saying maybe the other
and you want to be the top, paid quarterback, and you got into the playoffs.
But it also depends on what the school needs. I mean, maybe the school has players in place that, would be able to push him to the next level.
Yeah.
If you're going to Ohio State from Tennessee, that's a huge difference in talent levels, really.
And again, I just think it's one of those things where it really just from a fan's perspective, it's ruined college sports. And because I think the legacy angle of what college sports were is gone, because I think when you're looking at those Tim Tebow's and those other guys that we grew up watching, they were distinctly associated with that university.
Yes.
I seen one guy who'd been to like 6 different schools. I seen there was they were talking about mid-majors in basketball, and they looked at the 3 players, and now they're all gone, going to Division I schools. So it's like the legacy that you could have established being at a school and being known for that school is just gone. And I think that's the part that we're going to have to wrestle to figure if we can sort of pull that back, because that's the heart of collegiate sports.
I don't think that kids see or care, quote, about their legacy from somewhere.
They don't.
Somewhere.
No, that's not part of it anymore.
You got a kid.
I want money.
No.
You got 2 kids. These like top basketball players going to BYU. They're like the top basketball. One's coming out of high school going to BYU, and the other one's like a transfer. These are like top basketball. I forget their names. Top basketball players. And because BYU has a structure where they're going to really pay you. So now these kids, they're not thinking about like Kentucky. They're not thinking about the Dukes, the Tar Heels,
money.
Right? The Kansas. It's like, I'm going to who can pay the most.
Well,
regardless of anything else.
And to that, if I can get that money in college, I don't need I'm not worried about pro.
At least not right now.
Not right now. Not right now.
And I'm going to throw this out here, guys, because I think what's happened with the transfer portal was not what the NCAA intended when they kind of created it. It's become a leverage tool. I mean, these players, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they're going to the school and they're saying, "Hey, I know I can get in this portal and make more money. What can you give me? I need more. I need more." And so it's become something completely different than what I think the NCAA intended it to be.
I don't know if they intended on anything. Like, I'm never for calling for somebody's job, but I think we need a whole new administration. I mean, I seriously think that. I think, far as the NCAA is concerned, we need all new everything from top to bottom. And
okay, but here's the problem with that. I can totally agree with it, but here's the problem with it. Okay, so me and Lisa are coming in. Like, what are we doing? Like what changes can we? Because the moment we touch any kind of money,
the changes that if I was the president,
regulate it.
If I wouldn't even, I wouldn't. That wouldn't be my first thing.
Okay,
my first thing would be the money's going to come from us. Forget all the NIL stuff. So we're going to do a revenue sharing model at this level.
Yes.
So conferences, NCAA, because that's how you regulate it. Because now, as it stands, if it's a third party NIL, just like West Virginia just passed the law, it hasn't yet to be signed by the governor, where nonprofits can now come in and be part of the school essentially and help regulate, to help deal with the NIL stuff. Mm-hmm. So if I'm the NCAA, the very first thing I'm doing is I'm gonna have to do like a President Trump those things, start cutting some fat around so I can free up some money, and I'm going to do a revenue sharing model. So that way I can control it, because outside of that, you're not going to control it. You can't just implement rules. They don't care, because they don't need that body, that governing body anymore.
It's spiraled out of control now. I mean, it's completely out of control. It's about who has the most money is who's going to win. Look at March Madness. What happened there?
Yeah.
It was the top 4 number 1 seeds. Yeah. The Cinderella has disappeared. It has completely decimated the Cinderella story.
Yeah, that's almost virtually impossible to happen.
And just like to the Grambling coach, when he was saying, like, if you pick one of my players off, you should have to do a buyout.
Sure.
See, and I do like that.
And I think that's competitive balance, right?
I think
something to that degree has to happen, right? Because because basically the smaller schools are just farm teams for the bigger schools.
Right.
Yeah.
And I really do. And if you think about it, if you sit back and you look at it and you say, okay, so Grambling loses a player to Alabama. So now Alabama now has to pay Grambling X number of dollars or a percentage of what you're paying that player. Yeah. So however they want to work that, I think that is the perfect.
Yeah.
I think that is perfect, because I think that allows the schools who are, like you said, are creating these young athletes that end up jumping ship and going somewhere bigger. You can't afford to lose those guys unless it's money in. You're getting money back of some sort.
And I think the NCAA, the money has to come from them. So that money has to come from them in the conferences, so that way you can fully control. Because having a third party, if you have a Jeff Bezos, who is your benefactor, it's just, you got endless.
Yeah.
You got endless money.
And you know what else? We also have to look at the transfer portal rules now. I mean, if they've got things like, the do not contact tag, I mean, that's a whole new level to that I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
existed.
Wow. Yeah. I had no clue of none of that.
It's just, there's so many things that are wrong right now with all of it. And the NCAA is going to have to intervene. They have to do something.
If they can.
If they can.
If they can, then that's the question.
Yeah.
Well, again, we end the show on college sports and money. That seems to be, NIL seems to be the way we always kind of find our way to it. It comes back here. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back again next week. We're out of here.
Let's Talk with Carl Lee is proudly presented by attorney Frank Walker. Visit frankwalkerlaw.com. Share your thoughts, ask questions, or suggest topics on our Facebook page. Just search for Let's Talk with Carl Lee. And don't forget to like the page to join the conversation. Catch past episodes anytime at WCHSnetwork.com/Let's Talk. And tune in Thursday nights at 7 or Sunday evenings at 8 for Let's Talk with Carl Lee.
If you fall, dust it off and get back up on your feet. Anything could be a win, yup, even defeat. They say sugar bad for you, why is victory sweet? Couldn't play with big kids, I had to sit in the street and watch from a distance, but over time I grew. If I put in the work, in no time I'm due. Everything that I worked and prayed, I'm okay. If you ask me, how did I do it, I'm gon' say, you gotta work, grind, shine, it's mine. Gotta show everybody it's my time. Getting here, you gotta work, grind, shine. Never mind who talking down, cause they lying. Don't talk, you gotta work. 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 You gotta work.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.